Welcome, everybody, to Kicking Tables. I'm Sean.
I'm Tico.
And today we have the pleasure of welcoming President of Forbidden Games and the creator of Lizard Wizard, Glenn Drover. Glenn, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So you have a new game up on Kickstarter, Lizard Wizard, and this is actually, it's a new game in the world of Astoria, which started with Raccoon Tycoon. Before we get into the game itself and details of it, why don't you give us the elevator pitch of Lizard Wizard? What is this game?
So Lizard Wizard is an action selection game, much like Raccoon Tycoon was, but it's more robust. It's got a lot more going on. It starts with some of the same core mechanics that people loved about Raccoon, but it's, like I say, it's got more going on, more strategies, more engine building, and a great kind of fantasy magic theme.
So for fans of this world, are they going to be at home with this game if they've already played Raccoon Tycoon? What's going to be familiar in this game, as well as what's going to be totally new to them?
So what's familiar is the marketplace. So in Raccoon Tycoon, there was a kind of a neat supply and demand driven marketplace where six commodities, the prices would ebb and flow as you bought and sold. That same thing is in there because we found that it really works well to regulate the money supply, or in this case, the mana supply that's coming in and going in the market for the game. The other thing that's familiar is the action selection. So you, on your turn, can do one of six things in Lizard Wizard, where it was one of five things in Raccoon Tycoon. And what that does is it makes gameplay fast. The players take their turns quickly. It makes understanding and learning the game much faster. And you have to make tough decisions, right? You've got all your options in front of you, but you can only do one at a time. And so you've got to plan out your turns. So there's that element of strategy, which is, the turn planning and your, the next few sequences. And then it's making combinations of different actions that synergize and play well together. So we really loved those mechanics in Raccoon. And really, when we were designing Lizard Wizard, we meant for it to be a series, for there to be a common, some common gameplay and some common feel to it. And we tried to get away from those two things because we didn't want it to be too similar. But in fact, we came back to them because what we were working with earlier just wasn't as good. So go ahead.
No, that's fine. So you actually almost answered a question I was going to ask anyway. So when you created Raccoon Tycoon and this world of Astoria, you intended to make multiple games in this world. Is that correct?
We did, yeah. We didn't know at the time how similar they would be, right? Because that's something you never know when you're designing games ahead of time if the end product is going to be what you envisioned at the beginning. We always kind of strive for quality regardless.
Sure.
Of the vision. We'll break the vision. We'll, like, even on Raccoon Tycoon, we went back and broke the game down and simplified it over and over to keep it streamlined and to keep it clean. A lot of designers, including me, have a tendency to kitchen sink things, right? They throw everything in there that occurs to them during the design process.
Right.
So and it's fun to do that, and there are games that turn out well. The Astoria games have that, and they're great. But sometimes it just bogs the game down, and we are trying to create games that are more, not entry level, but certainly easy to pick up and play.
Is there any crossover between Raccoon Tycoon and is there any Easter eggs or anything like that sort of slid from one to the other? Anything that's stuck in?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they're both based in the same land is the Easter, and not everyone will pick up on that because that's kind of just the backstory of the game. But yeah, we meant to be kind of cute there and say, well, at some point in the history of this world, there was anthropomorphic animals in an industrial revolution, and at some point there were anthropomorphic dragons in a world of magic. So maybe for thousands of years or millennia apart, but yeah, we thought it was kind of fun to keep them in the same world.
So I was just going to say, so this one is a prequel, a many years ago prequel, or is it,
or the other way around,
or something horrible happened to those animals.
So how how does one win this game? What is the objective in Lizard Wizard?
So, like a lot of these kinds of games, it's a point salad approach where you're gathering victory points in different ways, and that we like that because it lets you, again, change your strategy as you're playing. You can focus on different things as opportunities come up. You can try different things during the game. So you might do some dungeon delving in Lizard Wizard. You might also be recruiting wizards. You might be building towers. You might be summoning familiars. All kinds of different things aside from just that core marketplace. And how much you do of those things in what order and what timing is the thing that will separate the winners from the losers. And then there's engine building, right? So the spell part of the game is mostly what you spend your mana on, along with the wizards, recruiting wizards. And the spells really are combinations that lead you down strategy pathways. So you'll have certain advantages and some unique advantages every time you play it. It'll be different. You're comboing spells differently. You're attempting different things with regard to gathering victory points. So every time you play, it's different. And again, you can evolve your strategy as you're playing the game and as opportunities present themselves.
So as you're building your engine and purchasing spells and wizards and stuff, as a player, are you working solely for yourself, or is there a way to attack your opponents as well?
Yeah, there's another difference between Raccoon and Lizard, which in Lizard's definitely got some take that. We knew that with wizards and spells, to sit there and play kind of a solo productivity exercise might not be thematic. So we've got the opportunity to blast each other with disintegrate spells.
Nice.
Possess their familiars or do bad things to their wizards and destroy their towers and kind of disrupt their game. So we put in the manual kind of a list of those spells that you can take out if you don't like that. But there are also protection spells that you can get that will protect you from bad things. So it's again part of the strategy of the game if you're playing with all of it.
Now, I'm just curious about some of the details in developing this game, because I know there's 7 schools of magic, and there's 7 reagents. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Did you ever have less of each of those or more? Like, what is the number 7? Is there a reason why? Was that like the perfect balance? Because, I mean, not knowing the game yet, it seems like a lot to have to try to know or figure out, like a lot of schools and a lot of reagents. But did you work with more or less just see how that balanced?
Yeah, for sure. We, started with mechanics, then moved to themes. So I did research on traditional magic and all the books, all the fantasy books, and did internet research on witchcraft and what reagents were associated with what things, and broke out my old some of my old fantasy role-playing game books and all that kind of stuff. So that was all the background thematic research. And 7 is a special number in witchcraft and wizardry, and we kind of landed on that. We had 6 commodities in Raccoon, so adding 1 didn't really change the diversity of the marketplace very much. And again, we wanted this game to be slightly heavier and slightly more, again, point salad and options, so you could pursue different things. So having a little bit more variety was a good idea. And once you play it once or even twice, you're not going to be really thinking too much about, oh, this school does that or this reagent does that. They kind of just fit into the mechanics and they become intuitive. It's really Chrome. You don't really need to know anything about the wizard schools to play the game well.
With building this out, with obviously no conventions or anything like that able to happen anymore, does playtesting move to stuff like Tabletopia and Tabletop Simulator for you in order to get enough people to try it out?
We have our core group of playtesters that have been doing this for 20 years, and really we trust them. They're really, one guy's got a game collection of well over 1,000 games. One guy's an expert on Kickstarters and everything to do with Kickstarter, and they're all gamers, right? So they love all kinds of games of all types. So yeah, we really depend on them, but we couldn't see each other to play test for a while. One guy who was our graphic designer, Jacoby O'Connor, unfortunately his wife is doing well but battling cancer.
Oh.
He absolutely couldn't have anything to do with us in person. And our, Simon, he takes care of his mom who is, has some health issues, so he couldn't ever come and play in person. The rest of us got together and socially distanced, with masks and, stayed away from each other and played. But we really did rely on Tabletopia. Jacoby learned how to program the game into Tabletopia pretty quickly and did a great job of getting the assets in there. And we were on, I think, version 3 or 4 of Tabletopia Lizard Wizard by now.
Okay.
Do you plan to make that version available to Kickstarters?
It's open right now.
Oh, it is? Excellent. Okay.
Yeah. We went live maybe Thursday or Friday last week.
That's fantastic. Now, the Kickstarter is live now. It's funded in less than 2 hours. Is that correct?
It did.
That's fantastic. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
How's that feel to launch, especially now with everything going on here in 2020? How does it feel to launch a Kickstarter and hit your goals so quickly? Were you expecting that?
Yes, we were, honestly. I mean, just because this is our 7th Kickstarter, and so we pretty much know what to expect with regard to our fan base, with regard to how quickly things happen. So yeah, we were expecting it to happen pretty quickly, but it still outpaced our expectations a bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, day one was, I think, 60,000, 65,000 in just between 10 a.m. and midnight. And then we're up to, I think, 90K right now. No,
Wow.
80,000 right now.
That's
so,
fantastic.
Yeah, it slowed down at day 2, but we're very excited. We've done some mental math, and we should hit 250 or so, I think, by the end of the campaign, based on previous trajectories. And that's a solid Kickstarter.
Yeah. One of the things that I noticed on your Kickstarter is that your stretch goals are not organized the way we usually see these on Kickstarter. You just have a list of these are Kickstarter goals that you're going to get, as opposed to set up via hit this dollar figure.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, again, having done several of them, it's sort of frustrating to have to lay the breadcrumbs out in a way that the timing fits just perfectly to keep in, and mostly if people are in or they're not in, and what they want out of stretch goals is, are you adding good content to this product? And so we decided this time to do it that way, to say, well, we're just going to have a scheduled batch, a significant batch of Kickstarter stretch goals. Or really, instead of really being stretch goals, they're more additional quality elements to the game, right? So, and a lot of them are unique to the Kickstarter edition of this game. They'll never appear again. You're really premium version of the game with lots of goodies that people won't be able to get later. So we thought that was just more reasonable than almost trying to trick people into thinking that we're so surprised that we got $10,000. Okay, you guys unlocked this thing. It's kind of a game at this point. So we kind of did away with the gamesmanship and said, we're adding lots of good stuff and we'll reveal it through the campaign.
So
sorry, Sean, go ahead.
That's okay. So kickstart it now. You're guaranteed all these extra things. You just don't know what it is. Like you said, it's going to be a surprise, because I agree. I mean, most people, you're either in or you're not. Right? So you've already got a plan for all these great additions. It's just, I'm going to surprise you as the campaign goes through as to what are these additional things you're going to get. That's brilliant. I mean, I don't think too many people do it that way.
Yeah, we were talking about, we always have long conversations before our Kickstarters about the best way to do things. And Sean Brown, he is my operations director and has his own company called Mr. B Games. He and I were going through it, and he's like, well, sometimes people do it this way. And I was like, yeah, we need to do that. That's just less silly.
Yeah, that's
right?
good.
And you also see these Kickstarters who they really do get surprised, right? The thing goes crazy, and then they're making stuff up, and they're just throwing stuff at the wall. And you're like, oh my God, you're breaking your own game because that doesn't look like it's balanced, or it doesn't look like it really there. or they add so much stuff that the cost of goods for them is so high that they don't make any money.
Yep.
That the project is actually a loser,
Yep.
even though they had a great deal of success. So you have to be very careful with that and plan it ahead and organize it. And this method just lends itself to better planning.
Yeah.
I like this way better. As you know, both Sean and I are usually early backers of Kickstarters, and so as an early backer, you like to see things getting added and not having to hope that other people are getting involved. You just like to see that, like, this is something I know I'm getting, and you feel great about that. You don't have to worry, are they going to hit this, arbitrary number, even though I've already backed.
Absolutely. And that's the other end of the equation is, what if you love the game, but not a lot of people do, and there aren't very many stretch goals unlocked?
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh man, the game didn't get everything it was supposed to get.
You feel like you've missed out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what does the future look like for Lizard Wizard? Do you have ideas for expansions, or are you hoping to just continue on in the world of Astoria with new games?
It's a good question. I mean, we ended up doing an expansion for Raccoon Tycoon, which is the Fat Cat expansion, which is shipping right now. It's on its way to the US, I should say. It's about 2 weeks out of the port. So if you guys are aware of that expansion, but people have been waiting for it for quite a while. It got kind of delayed because of the coronavirus disruptions, first in China for manufacturing,
Of course.
and then here for everything else. So
A lot of games went through that this year, obviously.
It's unfortunate, but the reality of our world. But yeah, it's that's on the way. So we did an expansion for Raccoon because it really lended itself to it because it was so simple. This is a little more robust, and at this moment, I can't say for sure whether we'll do an expansion. We may just move on and do the third in the series.
Okay.
So you say third in the series, like, is this a trilogy, or is this just you want to keep making games in the world of Astoria?
At this point, I think it's a trilogy. We signed the Boardgames. So Annie Stegg, who is absolutely brilliant, she's phenomenally talented. Every piece of art that you see in the game is hand painted. She paints in oils, and it's their original pieces of art. And so after she did Raccoon, other companies started approaching her saying, "Hey, could you do some art for our game?"
The art is beautiful in this game.
Absolutely gorgeous. That's actually what drew my eye to this. When looking originally was the absolutely gorgeous art that you guys have in this.
Yeah, she's amazing, and we actually going to unlock and reveal a secret tomorrow. I don't know when this airs, but if I can tell you if it's not airing currently.
Now you can tell us,
or I can just tease you otherwise. And we realized after she finished the art that we had kind of contracted with her to do, which was all the wizards and all the familiars, that the towers were disappointing. Because we're like, oh, they're just towers. We'll have her, use little pieces of the other art that have towers in it, and they look crummy comparatively. And so a few weeks ago, we're like, I know we didn't ask you to do this, but could you really quickly paint 7 original towers? And she agreed to do it because she just loves working with us and loves these projects, even though she has a ton of other things in her life and other art that she's trying to create. So she agreed, and the first 2 came over on the computer last night, and we're due to get the rest of them over the next week or 2. So we're going to have original tower art for all the tower cards, which is going to look phenomenal.
That is really, really great.
That's good, yeah.
So, viewers, if you haven't checked it out, check out Lizard Wizard on Kickstarter now. Glenn, before we let you go, is there anything about the game you want people to know that we haven't already talked about?
We get a lot of questions on, if I already own Raccoon, should I bother getting Lizard Wizard? And of course I'm going to say yes because I want to make money. But yeah, we're hardcore gamers. We like heavy strategy games, and we're still big fans of Raccoon because it's just such an elegant, fun little strategy game. But Lizard Wizard is kind of on its own. It really has enough uniqueness and interest, and it's just a heavier, more satisfying game to us as a group. So I think if you like a game, if you like Raccoon and you want more, I would say yes, you should definitely get it. If you've never played Raccoon Tycoon, shame on you. Go get it, buy that first, and then get the.
So this is your Empire Strikes Back to Raccoon Tycoon Star Wars.
Absolutely.
And stay tuned for Return of the Jedi. Glenn, thank you so much for joining us on Kicking Tables. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
You guys
Yes,
too.
thank you so much.
Take care.